Welcome to Cripple Baldy, a podcast for the rest of us.
Yes. Thank you for joining us. We would like to welcome you to sit down, have a drink, smoke a smoke, toke a toke. Talking about the marijuanas, in case you didn't get that.
That's exactly how I feel. That's exactly how I feel. That's exactly how
So,
I feel.
it finally happened. Baldy saw my tit.
Mind you, I was at work.
Mind you, you're welcome. People would pay good money to see that fucking tit. So, this is what I did. All right? I've been trying to do this for years. Okay?
Her nipple
One
is
day.
brown.
What?
Her nipple is brown.
It's like, no, it's not. It's like, it's kind of like pinkish. I am ethnic. Thank you. Yes. Yeah, it's kind of like, yeah, it's a little brown. It's like pinkish brown. But, so anyways, I was wearing a shirt and my shirt says, I hate running. And I got it to make people feel uncomfortable around me when they saw it, because they'd be like, oh no, poor cripple girl, she can't run. It works. People get very uncomfortable when they see it, but it entertains me. So anyways, I was wearing that shirt, and that shirt goes very low on the side. It's a Victoria's Secret shirt. So, and I wasn't wearing a bra. And so I was eating a burrito per usual. And I was about to take a picture of my burrito to keep Keisha up with my life. And then I was like, I passed by the mirror before I went to my food, and I saw that my tit was hanging out of my shirt. And I said to myself, you know what? I could take like a selfie of my burrito and then kind of have my tit like kind of showing, but like small enough, like so where if you saw the thumbnail, you wouldn't know my tit was there, and then she'd click on it to make it bigger, and then she'd really see my boob. And that's what I did, and it worked.
Hooray!
So what do you think? Beautiful, right? You're into it?
It's beautiful.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I'm glad. But you know what? If I'm being honest, not really what you expect at work.
What is that supposed to mean?
I don't work at a place where titties are the norm during the workday. Like,
Tits are everywhere. I don't know what you're talking about.
yeah, I mean, like, I'm talking about the whole areola,
Okay.
you know. Anyways, what's on the agenda today, Crip?
Well, you want me to read that?
Don't worry. Don't worry your pretty little head about it. All right. So on the agenda today, we're going to talk about a Vice article about this gay male escort for disabled persons. We're going to talk about Baldy's experience getting to a point where she can wear a topper despite the fact she wore a wig for a year. And then we're going to talk about Cripple's trip to Colombia.
Arriba! I'm just kidding. That's very
You know what?
offensive. Do not do that. I can because I'm ethnic, but you should not.
But what kind of ethnic is that appropriate for?
The Mexican kind? Like me?
But are you that kind of ethnic?
Why are you Yeah, I am.
I'm asking for our listeners.
What listeners?
Oh, wow. Self-sabotage.
All right. So,
So where'd you find this article?
on the internet.
On the internet.
I love things about disability and sex and inequality. So I read it and I was like, yep. But yeah, so I haven't read this in a while. Refresh my memory.
So, yeah. So there is this guy named Pedro. And he, I believe, lives in Australia. Yes. And so he is Latinx. And he started working as an escort. And he found that there was like a niche market for being an escort for disabled persons. And so he talks about how it turned from being like an opportunity to like he really enjoyed like being the person able to afford people that experience, because like he started to understand like why it was so important that he was doing this line of work, and how inaccessible and how desexualized disabled persons are. Well, I mean, like, they're inaccessible, different disabled persons have different requirements needed to like get off, to actually like be in the act of sex. So yeah. And he describes himself as a Latin lover. So I just wanted to take a moment to appreciate that.
He also had said something about like how there were a few clients he worked with who had been rejected by other escorts because of being disabled.
Yeah, that's just really messed up.
Yeah, and he's a patient person, I think, too, which is like a part of why he's so successful, because he had mentioned in the article that he had worked with a man who was autistic.
Yeah, no, so what had happened was the autistic man that he was working with, he was, being his sensual escort self, and said, why don't we take a shower together? And for some reason that struck a chord with the autistic man, and he was like shouting like, no, I don't want to take a shower. Like, he just like lost his shit. And once he like had his meltdown, and he had told him like to go, he was like, okay, like, no, I still want to engage with you, I don't want to take a shower. And so he relaxed and they did it, and it was cool. But I can only imagine like how traumatizing that could be for not just the person that is like requesting the service, but this escort themselves, just from like coming from a place of just like not understanding like why someone is like losing their shit about a sensual, sexy shower. But you know what? Different people have different needs.
Right. But yeah, one of the things he talks about too is like the inaccessibility to sex. And the reason why I feel like what that means is more of that people are so closed off to the idea of like a disabled person that like normally what for you would be easier to access, it is more difficult for us, just because of the fact that like the mentality that people have when it comes to disabled people is that they are not sexual. So
we got a question. Do we want to answer the question?
Really?
Yeah. Okay, people, listen. We have this whole thing set up. Send us your questions. We will answer them.
And if your question is, let's see Jasmine tits, the answer is private message me.
Slide in her DMs. Not the Cripple Baldy DMs, her personal DMs. If you can find her. I mean, that's not a challenge, is it? I mean, like, we're not challenging people to do that.
Wow.
I mean,
I'm
like,
gonna get a bunch of
I'm just digging myself into a deeper hole. I'm just gonna stop talking. So, anyways,
this question comes to us from
someone.
Thank you, someone.
A Nonny Mouse.
What? A Nonny Mouse?
Anonymous.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. You're so funny.
So funny.
So the question is, how much masturbation is too much? And the answer is not possible.
I don't know. If you're giving yourself sores, I would say you've gone too far.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, no
that's
chafing.
A good point.
Be responsible.
Go at it. But don't do it in public places. I mean, or if you do, wash your hands before you do. And make sure you're not seen. And if you're, like, peeping at somebody, make sure they can't see you by putting a, what are those called? Camouflage over your body.
Like one of those, like fake bushes that people in the army wear.
Oh. Yes.
All right.
But seriously, Who the fuck asked us that?
Well, it says, I don't know. Well, they put a name.
Is this someone we know? This is someone we know.
It's gotta be. But the name that they used was Duke Ryan.
Duke Ryan. Ooh, sounds hot.
Do the Duke.
Ooh. But yeah, if you're starting to like chafe from the masturbation, that's when you gotta cut it off. Put on some baby powder on that thing. Wait a day.
Yeah, if your genitals are angry and red, leave them alone.
Also make sure to like use some sort of lubricant on your genitals if they're getting too chafy. And if you don't have that, just spit on your hand. All right? And go to town.
Wise words. Wise words.
Thank you. I have a lot of experience in this area. So.
You got hairy palms, bitch.
You know it.
Better comb those bitches.
All right.
Yeah, thanks for the question.
Yeah. So far, we're doing really good today.
Words of wisdom. Sorry, folks. I am getting over a cold, and I sound real raspy, and I can't stop coughing.
But here at Cripple and Baldy, we like raspy voices, especially when they're coming off a sexy, baldy bitch such as this one.
You're not wrong. Yeah.
All right. So tell us about your, you got a hairpiece, right? And you have been wearing it to work.
Yeah. So I was really apprehensive about getting a hairpiece. And I think it had more to do with the fact that I can't just work somewhere, have no hair, and then all of a sudden, like, have hair. Like, I didn't want to deal with, like, I don't know, the office gossip. I was working somewhere for a long time that had a really toxic, like, environment, and I was not in a mental space where I could, like, really deal with that. So, luckily, I've been doing a lot of freelance. So, and I do want to mention that this is ridiculous, one, but I couldn't help how I felt. But two, when I was 18, I thought I was a badass, and I had not one, but 2 mohawks.
You fucking badass bitch.
I know. And they are called bihawks. And I also had, like, little, like, bangs or whatever. I thought I was a badass. So, I was really influenced by, like, punk rock and Tank Girl. So, I worked at Burger King. And
as badasses do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I worked 3rd shift. So, like, I was a total badass because I got paid more than, like, the regular employees.
Oh, damn.
But yeah, so when I got hired, it was before I had this, like, funky haircut. And I had, as part of the uniform, I had to wear, like, a Burger King hat. And what I did is I took like a little ponytail, little clip, and I pinned it to my hat, and I made it, and it, like, stuck out, so it looked like I had, like, 2 little braids. And I wore that. And then after I got a new job, I had also started going to school, and I decided that I needed to wear a wig until my hair grew out so that it would be easier, just people thought I was normal instead of, like, the badass that I was. So I did that for about a year. So all that to say, I don't know why I was so apprehensive about getting a hairpiece when I've worn, like, clip-in extensions, like, underneath my hair, and I used to wear a wig. But I was. Okay? So, like I said, I've been doing a lot of freelance, and I've been doing a lot of, like, short-term, like, contract jobs where I go in the office where I have that contract. And one of the places I was working at, I decided, because I had gotten my topper had come in and I'd gotten it styled and cut and like found a way to wear it that I really liked, and I decided to wear it there because, you know, it's a temporary gig, like whatever. I mean, like, I shouldn't worry because it's temporary, like, about like what people think.
But
so anyways,
you shouldn't anyways. But yeah, but also the other thing is too is like people don't notice what's different about people unless they have an awareness for that. So like people aren't really gonna know what you did. They're just gonna know that you look better. That's usually how it is.
Yeah.
So.
I don't know, because like my hair is wavy and my topper is straight, and I would always wear my hair like pulled back, like in clips and stuff. And like I would use this this hair powder so you couldn't see my scalp, but then you'd have like these curly like wisps like around my crown. I don't know why I thought that looked good, because I saw a picture of myself and I look insane. Like I look like a crazy person. But anyways, that's just my opinion of my own, you know, my own self with my poor self-esteem. But so I was running a couple of minutes behind, and I had a meeting, and I went in and I like stood in the back, and it was kind of interesting because people would like do like a double take.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And and then they would kind of like, I don't know, they would give me like kind eyes, like they noticed something, and they like, but it's like, oh, like I don't know, understand, like I don't know how to articulate it. So I think it's like, I don't know what it was. So that it was clear that they were noticing a difference, but I couldn't tell if they like understood why I looked different or like what was going on. But I will say, so, the person I report to, like as a temporary worker, came up to me and straight up said, "Nice hair. What'd you do? Get it done, or are you just wearing it down for a change?" And me, like, yeah, no, they said that. So I guess I think I'm like witty or something, but I just said last week when I left early, I got it done, which was true because I left early for a different appointment, but I had a hair appointment before that. So like I got my bio haircut and I brought the topper with me, and they cut and styled the topper for me, so like it all like looked like together.
Yeah.
And so I wasn't lying. And then I just did like a cute pose because like this particular person is like really good at reading my faces. So like I would never want to play poker with them. So I was just like, I'm not lying, but I'm sure they can tell like that I'm not telling them something. But I thought it was really interesting because when I told Cripple about this experience, she was like, "Are you like ashamed?"
Yeah.
Of what happened?
Yeah, I guess like you're trying to hide. To me, I was wondering, because it seemed like by you telling that woman that like, oh yeah,
I never said it was a woman or a man. I just said they.
Okay, I'm sorry. Whoever the fuck this person is. I was wondering why you had like told them, like appease them, and like them saying, did you either like wear your hair down or get your hair done or whatever, and why you wouldn't have just been like, oh, like I have a topper, because like it seems to me a little bit like hiding. It's like almost like a little bit ashamed of like using a topper, which is like what we're trying to get away from, right? So that's why I didn't understand.
No, what I think is really interesting is when that whole experience happened, that's not at all how I took it. You know, there's like a phenomena of people coming up to African American people and just like straight up touching their hair, just being like, "Oh, I love it!" Like just they will just go and they will just touch it. Mm-hmm. I felt that it was kind of a similar experience to that, in the fact that what I did differently to my hair was none of their business. You know, it's almost like someone coming up to you and being like, so why are you in a wheelchair? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Like, it's none of their business. Like, I'm not ashamed of it, but I don't feel obligated to put my medical history on blast, you know?
Right,
Because,
like, you don't owe them an explanation.
Exactly.
Yeah. Right.
All you know is that, like, my hair is different and I look cuter.
Yeah.
That's all you need to know.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
But like I said, I hadn't thought about like the way, like when you asked me that, it resonated with me because I hadn't thought about it like that. So I think probably like on when my contract ends, I'll just be like, by the way, it's a toupee. You were right. Don't ask people about that shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's none of your business, but just so you know, this is what it is. And don't do that to people because it's kind of rude.
Yeah. I get also, like, I feel like it's like when I was younger, I would try to avoid like topics of disability or something to do with like if my wheel, like if I was having a problem with my wheel or something, for example, I would be like, not mention it, because then I'd be like, oh no, it draws attention to like me being disabled. But now I just mention like anything that's wrong with my wheelchair to a stranger. I don't care. I'm like, my brake's fucked up. This is annoying. I'm like, I gotta go home and like, you know, get out my toolkit or whatever. But so the reason why I'm saying that too is because I feel like you're still, it's not, I get that you don't owe people an explanation, and that's absolutely 100% accurate. But wouldn't it be great to live in a world where you could just be like, hey, did you see my new topper? Cute, huh? Like, just like any other thing. Like, if you got like a new hair bow or something, you know what I mean? Like, do you like it? Oh my God, it's like pink. I love it. Or whatever. That kind of thing. Where it's like, we don't have to be like ashamed of like, because it's not covering something up. I feel like it's more like enhancing something. It's like makeup or anything else like that, right?
Yeah. Well, okay. So I get what you're saying. And I think that if I lived somewhere other than the Bible Belt, like I would feel okay saying those things because, for example, when I go into offices or if I have meetings with like certain levels of people, depending on what I'm doing, like I cover up my tattoos. I won't put in my nose ring. You know what I mean? And it's more about like, it's not so much about being open about like a fashion statement or something. It's more about just like, that's not the focal point of like what you're doing. The work is, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But that just like goes back to the whole conversation of like how we live in a society where like people like really encourage conforming, and you have to conform in order to like be on the same level field as everyone else. Like you said, like getting a job or something, like you wouldn't want to be like, yeah, also I'm balding. Like, because then there's something unique about you, and they don't want uniqueness. They want you to be a worker and to fit in as much as possible.
Yeah, well, I think it's kind of a double-edged sword because I am a professional creative. And so it's like they want a creative that's really creative, that stands out, that's eccentric, because that's what they expect in a creative. But, you know, at the same time, like I'm an entrepreneur, I am a professional. It's like, where is that line? Because it is different, like culturally, because I live in the Bible Belt. You know what I'm saying?
No, I mean, it's like that everywhere. I don't think that's just the Bible Belt. Conforming and like not being yourself, that's how we've been conditioned.
No, I agree. I completely agree. That's everywhere. But what I'm saying is that it is like very much like up front in the Bible Belt, especially outside of a big city, and even within like the big city that I live in. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it's just because I have not lived as a adult, like on the West Coast, being a professional, trying to navigate my career. But I was a child there. So I only have that, my experience with like, I don't know, like school dress codes.
Yeah.
Right. So like you can wear pretty much whatever you want in my experience out there, versus when I came to the South. Ugh, their dress codes are freaking hardcore.
Really? Like what?
So, like, okay, so my kid has to wear, they can wear any color shirt. It has to have a collar on it.
Weird.
You can't wear jeans. It has to be like khakis or like something similar. And I'm not sure, like, okay, so like girls, they had to wear shorts or skirts that like came to their knees, or like yeah, that came to like their knees. So like if you put your arms by your legs, like it had to reach like the tip of your fingers. No spaghetti straps, no tank tops. You couldn't show cleavage. Like, yeah, you couldn't dye your hair unnatural colors. Couldn't wear trench coats, chains.
I feel like that was everywhere. You couldn't wear a trench coat because of like Columbine.
Yeah. Well, I'm just like thinking off the top of my head, like different things.
Right.
But yeah, no, there's a lot of schools around here that, like public schools, that are like, no, you've got to wear khakis and either a navy, white, or gray shirt. Which is like, I guess it's okay because like...
I just farted.
Especially like for like delightful.
Okay, continue.
In some ways it like helps shield kids from like bullying because like they're poor, you know? But I don't know.
Because everybody's dressed the
but
same.
like other than that, like I think it's so important to give people different avenues for self-expression, and I think that dressing the way you want is one of those things. And because, you know, arts education is like the last thing to be funded, whether that's like music or like, I don't know, different fine arts, that doesn't really exist. And if people don't have that I don't know, avenue for self-expression, you're just creating a bunch of crazy people. And by crazy, I mean like people that are going to snap, because all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
And then he jerks off till he's raw.
Oh, Duke. Poor Duke. The only other comments I received about the topper was like the next day. A couple of people, like more people noticed, and it was clear that like people had said stuff to other people. And they're like, "Oh, I like your hair. And it's so shiny."
Oh, like they were trying to get you to admit to like...
No, like they were paying me compliments, and I have a hard time like accepting compliments, you know, like they're being genuine. So I was just like, are you being condescending to me? Because I don't understand.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? People are hard to read, especially like in an office environment. So, well, I would say like in the South anyways, because like people are so like, I don't know, like culturally it's very strange here. I mean, and I'm saying this as someone that did not grow up here, so no offense. But they'll say things like, bless your heart. And it means like, it's not a nice thing for them to say, but it sounds nice.
It's like condescending.
Yeah. So I'm just like, every time I receive a compliment around here, I'm just like, what are you saying? So, yeah. I also wanted to mention this random experience I had in a bathroom at a restaurant that I had stopped at after coming back from vacation. I went into a bathroom because I had to take a massive shit. And I got in there and it was like, I don't know, it just had a weird vibe. And I kind of like looked around and it was like all these people were like staring at this one person. And I was like, what is going on? Like, what did I miss? And it was a freaking trans woman, and all these people were staring at her. And I was like, oh, well, this is rude. So I completely was just like, they had gone to a music festival in town, and so they had shirts on that had that stuff about it, like said Bonnaroo. That's the name of the festival. And so I started talking to them about Bonnaroo and just was like being very normal and kind of like, you know, I don't know, trying to change the vibe of the bathroom. I just wanted it to be like chill in there so I could take a shit. And I ended up making a friend. So, you know, just when you need.
And then hold each other's hands while staring at each other's in the eyes.
We did not do that. But we did continue the conversation, like, afterwards when we were waiting to get sat at the restaurant, which I thought was cool because they had confided to me in the bathroom. They're like, yeah, this is the first year that I have gone to this festival as myself, and, you know, like, how much better and more meaningful that whole experience was for them. And so I was like, right on, you know. So it was kind of cool, and I was, like, hoping that the people that had been staring, like, overheard the conversation, and maybe they won't be so fucking rude next time.
Well, we can always hope, but...
Yeah. But you never, you know, I don't know. Merca. For sure. Like, I don't know. Like, I get a real bad, like, I don't know. I just get, like, really, like, mad. Like, when people say such, like, prejudiced things, like, and I feel like, I don't know, living in the South, like, people are just very comfortable saying the most bigoted things.
Really?
And
like, nonchalant?
Oh, yeah. Yes. Like, people, like, I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but, like, people have said, like, the weirdest shit to me, and I wish I could think of an example. Like, I'm drawing a blank right now, but I'm just always, like, so taken back. I'm just like, you don't know me. I'm ethnic.
Yes.
You know, like, for real. Like, for real.
Like, they'll say something, like, racist, and you'll be like,
Yeah.
Excuse me, sir. This complexion may say white, but my insides say ethnic.
Yeah.
That's going to be our first shirt. We are ethnic women. I am ethnic.
You know what? If we ever get big, or no, scratch that, when we get big, this is going to be a PR nightmare. Just saying.
Why?
Eh.
We're ethnic. I don't understand you. But we are ethnic. Like, you're acting like we're pretending. Like,
I guess I'm just so used to people being like, why are you pretending? Like, you are clearly white. And I'm just like, why?
yeah, but you're not, so.
I know. I am traumatized from this whole experience. Anyways. Next topic. I wish I had the same access to different communities through social media as I do now, like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Because if I had had that 10 years ago, like going in middle school and high school and then college, like my experiences would be that much more fuller because I would have understood myself and my situation, I guess.
That you're not,
So
like,
much more.
alone.
Yeah, basically. Because I just, you know, for the longest time just felt like a freak. I didn't know why I was balding. I just knew I wasn't dying.
Yeah. You're like, I'm balding, but I'm not dying.
I don't have cancer, but no one knows why I'm balding. So I've talked to all these doctors and they don't know either. So quit trying to give me medical advice.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, like, when I think about, like, if I had grown up now, like, the way that social media is versus, like, when I was a teenager, which, like, what did we have? Like, LiveJournal and Zynga. That was, like,
my God. And then after that, it was MySpace.
And then MySpace. I was, like, 16 when I got a MySpace, so, like, But it wasn't how it is now. I don't know how to tell kids these days. I don't know how to say it. It's like you would literally have to click on someone's profile to write something on their wall. Like, it wasn't like there wasn't a feed, okay? And then you had a top 8 and you chose the 8 people that you had, and it was always like really like important who was like your number one. And I had like I think like 10 friends who like I was their number one friend, and like I was so like proud of that. I was like, everyone loves me, don't you see? But wait, what was my point? Oh yeah, but anyways, because like it's like because there's so many resources for people who are different or marginalized, right? And like
Yeah.
it would have been so helpful to have like grown up with that, like, because it's helped me as an adult person now, seeing other people share their stories and me feeling like less like I'm a horrible monster and more like, okay, like I'm not the only one like experiencing this kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like, my self-esteem was, like, super low. Like, I just felt like some kind of, like, crazy, like, grotesque, like, monster alien,
Yeah,
you
same.
know? Like, not worthy of love or success or even just, like, the fucking, like, normal things in life, you know? And, like,
Because of balding, really?
yeah.
That's so crazy.
I mean, well, so my story's a little bit different than yours because that was like one part of my life, but then also just the trauma of being a child coming from an abusive situation that was neglected, like, you know?
Yeah.
So, like, I know those things, like, played into it, but then also, like, trying to make myself, like learn to love myself as like and accept that I was worthy of those things. I was always like, well, who the fuck's gonna like you? Like, you know, you guys like to fucking like grab onto your hair while you're like fucking giving them a BJ, and like they're gonna freak out when they see that you're bald. Like,
you had those,
you know
really? You had those thoughts?
yeah.
I'm so surprised but the thing is, you've always had a boyfriend. Always.
I know.
So, delve more into that.
I mean, like, I don't know. I've got a sparkling personality. What can I say?
No, but like, talk more about like, how if you had those thoughts and then you met people anyways, what happened? What did you do? Did you like do something to try and like make up for it, or like what was like? Do you have like any sort of examples of like things that happened? Maybe even with like your current beau or like past ones, you know? You know what I'm saying?
I don't think I did anything different. I think maybe I was willing to put up with more shit.
But you still pursued. Like, even though you felt like no one would want you or whatever, you still went for it.
I'm also like I might have like a low self-esteem, like, or did, but I'm also like incredibly vain. So it was kind of like a juxtaposition. Like, if we're being honest, I'm just like, look at my beautiful face. Like, it doesn't matter that I'm bald.
Is that so? Okay, so you did have confidence there. It wasn't like, oh, nobody would want me. It's like you're like, oh, but I'm still beautiful.
Well, so when I was a kid, I was like, I modeled, and I was like, I was a child model. Like, I know I'm not ugly.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? Like, and I think that because I was a child model, like, I always knew that I wasn't like ugly. I just knew that like I was like balding. I don't know. Like,
but I'm trying,
just,
because what I'm trying to understand is, because you say that you had these thoughts of like, no one will want me, but you still were confident. So I don't understand. Like, I'm trying to. It doesn't.
I think it was like every time it was just like a disbelief. You know what I mean? Like, oh, you really like me? You like me? And like, even now I feel the need like for reassurance, like
To be told that you're pretty all the time.
well, not that I'm pretty, but like why you value me as your chosen partner.
So it doesn't need to be the way you look? Because I think it does for you.
No. I think
Sorry, this is like a podcast.
yes.
I'm getting too personal.
well, I
but
mean, like I definitely think that I need to be told that I'm
pretty.
pretty.
Yeah, you do. That's why you post
Thank
selfies
you.
all the time.
Tell me. Fucking tell me. Right now.
You are beautiful. I think you're beautiful. I've always thought that. My sister thinks so too.
Y'all. Y'all gonna make me cry.
But I also find it insanely obnoxious when women like post selfies constantly and they're like, tell me I'm pretty, tell me I'm pretty. It's really sad and I hate it and you do that. But anyways, so
I mean, like, I think it's really more for myself. I'm just showing everyone that I took this picture of myself and I like how I look in it.
yeah, sure.
I will say, like, maybe when I was younger, like, I wanted people to be like, oh, you're so beautiful. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's a
But now it's more like, I just want a record of it. Like, I was looking good today.
whatever.
Like, journal entry number 5. Like, or what is it? Like, lunar log number 7.
The reason, like, one of the reasons why I was asking you these questions so much is because that's how I feel. Like, that's how I've always felt. Like, I was like this disgusting, like, beast, you know, because that's how I was treated. And so, and I feel like, while I understand that you had those insecurities because of your hair loss and everything, it wasn't as super noticeable until people, like, now it is. But, like, when you were younger, it wasn't insane. And so I feel like it was more of your own insecurity and people didn't notice it as much as you did.
Yeah.
But
well, I don't know. Like, when I was in middle school, when it was just starting, like, those kids were mean.
Oh, really?
They brought it up all the time.
I didn't even know. Like, when I met you.
You were also shorter than me.
What? I'm shorter than you.
You're also shorter than
Because I
me.
couldn't see the top of your head.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was why.
But I am not very tall. So, like, people could all see the top of my head.
Yeah, that's true. But maybe that is, but I don't remember your hair being, like, super thin, though.
Well, so what I think, I think that part of the reason why, so to contrast us, I think that I am the kind of person, like, I am more likely to go and, like, talk to whomever, like, regardless of, like, who they are, what they do. Like, I'm comfortable talking to them, like, as a person to person, like, versus, like, oh, I can't talk to this person. Like, I might be, like, if there's someone that I like, you know, that I have a crush on, like, it'll be harder for me to talk to them. But, like, what makes them so great? Like, they're just as, like, shitty as a person as I am.
Okay.
If not more.
That's, you bringing that up that makes a lot more sense because I did forget about that, but that is how you are. You will talk to anyone. You don't, like, have any, like, qualms about that. You just, and it doesn't matter who they are. You have this kind of, like, way about you where it's, like, kind of everyone's equal. Like, whereas some people might be hesitant to talk to someone who they think is, like, above their class, even though we like to think we don't live in a class system here in the U.S., but we fucking do. But, like, people might be more hesitant to talk to someone who's more well-dressed or whatever, or, you know what I mean, or dress shitty or whatever it is, but you don't have an issue. You will just talk to everyone.
Yeah.
So that makes more sense.
Because at the end of the day, you know, we all have sweat glands and our BO all stinks.
Yeah, that's
you
true.
know, I was at the art museum earlier today and it was fucking crowded and someone let out the nastiest fart and I couldn't figure out who it was.
It was the white man in the business
It was
suit.
not me.
Okay, that's who it was.
It was either an older woman or it was my kid, but they would not admit it. So it was probably them.
So it was your mom. When you said older woman, were you referring to your mom?
No.
Oh.
It was an older woman.
Please let her know that I referred to her.
I am the only one that went to the art museum because I have a BFA and an appreciation for the arts.
Of course.
Because I'm so bougie. Well, enough about me. I want to hear all about your trip to Colombia. Tell me.
I was gonna say,
First
though,
of all, like,
on what you were saying was, like, because the way that you were talking about your insecurities with your hair, that's like how I feel too, like feeling like a monster and like a beast. But like I was more treated like that than you were. I was more alienated because, but whatever. But like the reason why I'm mentioning that again is because I still have like issues with like talking or making eye contact. As I was talking to you about earlier. But like I still have issues because I'm so like, I just feel like I'm so scarred from just constantly being like treated like I'm like a monster. So I don't know, but I think like when you say like, because you're such a social person that you would just be yourself and, or like you would talk to anybody. So
well, I think that was definitely my saving grace, but I will say that like, especially like when I was being mistreated as a child, one of the big things is I was treated as an other. Like I was just like some like monster. Like it was really traumatic and like really scarring. But I won't go into detail, but
yeah, so you understand the other type of like mentality of like there's something wrong with me.
Yeah, and I think, but especially like being put in that position by people that aren't supposed to do that to you versus like just society in general. Like I think that is pretty severe, and even though it was like on a smaller scale, was like similar to like what you experienced. You know what I'm saying?
Like feeling ostracized,
but like,
and like different in like a bad way.
Yeah.
But but the thing is too is that like even though we both felt like monsters, people didn't see you as a monster. So like whereas like when I would say, oh, I'm so disgusting, who would ever want me? The rest of the world would say, yeah, you are, and no one would. Do you know what I'm saying?
Well, no, I get that. I see what you're saying, but what I'm saying is like I had a parent treat me that way. So like that's why I thought I was that way, because if your parent is willing to treat you that way, then that means everyone else must think the same thing.
Yeah, no, I'm not trying to compare. I'm like, I feel like it sounded like I was like,
I'm just saying like,
but I'm just trying to like,
I'm just trying to explain like, even though like I wasn't being viewed like that by the rest of society, I felt like I was being viewed by that because someone so close to me was treating me that way. I think that if it was like I was being like bullied by like a classmate or something, then maybe I wouldn't feel that as strongly as I did.
Yeah.
I don't know. Who's to say? But anyways, why don't we hear about that trip to Colombia?
Okay. Okay, so I went to Medellin, which I feel like, am I pronouncing, do they say Medellin or Medellin? Because like two Y's in Spanish, or two L's in Spanish is a Y sound, but their Spanish is like a different dialect than like Mexico, so I don't know. We're going to call it Medellin.
Well, if like, okay, whatever. I mean, I don't know because I never been to Colombia.
Okay. Well,
I mean, I've been to Columbia, Tennessee, Muletown, USA, but I have never been to Colombia. Well, if like people that live there were saying one thing, I would go with what they said.
I don't remember. I don't.
Well,
so
you must have had a good
I don't
time.
think we ever like. We did talk to. I don't know. I don't remember. So
why did you go to Colombia?
Okay.
Of all places.
Well, I am still finishing my music degree after 500 years, but I'm almost done. So this summer,
so close.
I should be done
so
by
close.
the end of the summer. Fingers crossed. So, so anyways, my choir got invited to do this choral festival in Medellin, and I was originally like not gonna go because I don't like group trips. Like I want to be free. I want to
You're
go
such a
and do my
brat.
own thing. And I've been on one class trip before, and that was like to China when I was like a teenager, and that was fine because that was like my first like real trip somewhere. So like, but I'm a free bird, okay? I don't want to like be confined in like rules of where I have to be, when I have to be placed, whatever. But then I decided to go because it was really cheap. It was $850, which included the ticket, the hotel, and food. So, well, more breakfast and dinner. So I was like, that's super cheap. I'm going to be there for a week. I'm like, why not? And my friends were going, and I was like, that's so fun. And then I felt more like, this is like really cool. And like, I'm so lucky that like I get to like go to random fucking places, because I would never go to Colombia. That's like such a random place. Like I never even thought of going there. So anyways, and much to my surprise, my choral director asked me if I was going. I thought she was going to say like, assumed that I couldn't go or like some weird thing, but she didn't. And I was like, wow, I'm proud of you. So basically we rode in like this, one of those big buses, like the whole time we were there pretty much. And I had to like scoot up the stairs and like crawl up onto the seat, but it was okay. It worked out. It's very inaccessible in Medellin. Like in order to take like public transportation, it's you have to go through all these like different gates, and you need like a card, and like I don't have a card, so you have to go get someone to get a card, and I was with people who could go, but if I didn't have somebody, I'd be fucked. So I would say thumbs down on the accessibility over there. You have to like take a taxi, I think, basically, if you're disabled. There. Also, one of the reasons also why I wanted to go is because I think that it's really good for everybody who was in my choir to see that a disabled person can travel and do things. And I'm like, totally, that's really is very important that people realize that. And my professor, I had asked her if like the hotel would be accessible. She was like, I don't know. And she kind of didn't figure it out. And it wasn't. But I brought my shower chair. So good thing I did that.
Smart.
Oh, so smart. I almost didn't, because I was like, it's like, I don't want to bring my big suitcase, but it's a good thing I did. So, yeah, let's see. What the hell did I tell you happened? Oh, so there was multiple times when, and by multiple times, I mean every time except for the last one, where I had to crawl up the stairs to get onto the stage.
Jesus.
Yeah. And that's like, it's not surprising because like, I know that stages aren't accessible mostly unless it's a really big stage. Then they're fine. But these were like little like platform type things, and I kind of expected that, and it wasn't that big of a deal. I feel like the people more in my choir were more uncomfortable than I was with doing it, with like crawling up the stairs, you know? Mm-hmm. I don't mind doing that if I have a plan of like how I'm doing it and if it's happening before the audience is there. But unfortunately, it was happening when the audience was there, and I didn't like that, and I was also wearing a dress. Okay, we were wearing fucking black dresses with long sleeves in the fucking humid, hot-ass Colombian country. I don't fucking... it was fucking hot. And we did not have an air conditioner in our apartment.
Oh, damn.
But so...
Your hair looked great the entire time.
Are you serious? Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you. You know what's funny? I had just bought a bra, and I like started like feeling before I had left from Colorado. I started like feeling like a burning like in my lungs, and I was like, "Oh my god, I'm getting lung cancer!" Like I was freaking out. And then when I was in Medellin, I started feeling it some more, and I was like having a harder time breathing, and I was like, what is happening? And then I realized my bra is too tight.
Wow.
Yeah. So like when we had gone,
lay off the weed.
No, it was the bra, it wasn't the weed. But I don't smoke anymore, I just eat it. Thank you. But so when we had gone up to God, I'm like so fucking clustered. I don't even, whatever. So our original plan, what I wanted to do, going to Colombia, I wanted to go to fucking Pablo Escobar's museum, which is his house. Okay, I wanted to do that. And so we were planning on doing it. But then my friend was talking to our professor, and she was like, I don't like how you guys are going off like being like the Three Musketeers, and like you should come with us to like this what are those called, the zoo things,
Sky
ride, yeah. So like they were going to go to a sky ride, and they're like, we're all going, you should come. And we were like, oh well, nobody invited us, but okay. So we decided not to go to Pablo's place because my friend didn't want to, and also it was too expensive. And also I talked to some Colombian people there, and they were saying they hate Pablo Escobar because he was a fucking terrorist, and he killed a bunch of innocent people unnecessarily because he was like trying to take over, and he wanted to become like a dictator. So I didn't know that. This guy told me that 18 of his mom's friends got murdered because of him. And my first thought was, damn, she's got a lot of friends. If only 18 got murdered, that means she's got more than that. I was like, Jesus. But also, yeah, they don't like Pablo Escobar. He was, this guy was telling us that like before him and the whole like drug trafficking shit, it was Medellin, or like Colombia was like, it was a poor place, but it was peaceful. And he brought a lot of like violence and drugs. And now it's like not the way that it used to be because of him. So good to know.
Scars upon the land.
What? Hello?
I said scars upon the land.
Yeah. Yes.
And the people.
Yeah. Where'd all the money go though? Come on. Like,
whatever. Let's be real. The FDA seized that shit.
Yeah. There was some hidden money. Okay. I guess his son's like an architect now or something. Anyways, so what I wanted to talk about was this. Okay? So my teacher was not very good at planning for like accessibility, or like when I had asked her about it, obviously thus far, as I told you, the hotel wasn't accessible. She was like, I don't want them to leave to go to another hotel. I want them to stay with the group. And I thought they wanted to stay at the hotel because I was about to be like, no, this isn't going to work. Because our hotel, literally, I'm not even lying. We did not have a shower head. It was a hose.
What?
I'm not kidding. It was a hose. And it was cold. The water was fucking cold. Okay?
Dang.
And it sucked. But hey, I still showered every day because it was like you would go and you would shower and it would be like freezing. Even though it was really hot, it still was really cold. And then you'd get out and then immediately start sweating.
Oh, gross.
I know. It was so, yeah. And we did not have an air conditioner. We just had a fucking fan.
So did you all sleep in the nude?
Cassie was naked a lot. I got to see that beautiful booty over and over again. Thanks, boo-boo. But no, I didn't sleep naked. I don't think Alyssa did either. But so anyways, there was this one of the concerts that we had, it was at the metro station. So literally we warmed up, and then right before we left, like 5 minutes before we left, my professor was like, hey, by the way, we're walking to the metro station and then we're taking like the train to where we're supposed to go. And she's like, oh, but you guys are okay. You're all wearing comfortable shoes. And I was just like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, she didn't give anybody a warning. People were wearing heels. Like, it was really shitty. So everybody was pissed. And so we started heading over there. So we got to the metro station, whatever, train thing. I don't know what you call it, like a tram, because it was up in the sky. So I guess it was like a tram. So we got there. The elevator was broken. And
you walked all that way just for the
well, they were fine though, and then they all went up the stairs, and then the woman who was like our guide, her name was Isabella. She was like, "Oh shit!" Like, she said, "We're gonna have to take the elevator on the other side, and then take the train, and go to a stop so we can get off and then get back on the train to go backwards, basically. And I was like, oh my God, what the fuck? And then she changed her mind and was like, okay, we're just going to take a taxi instead. So then they bring Alyssa down and to ride with me. And then we get in a cab, and Isabella is a tiny woman. Like, she's a thin woman, and me and Alyssa are just like these chubs. So we were sandwiching her in the cab.
I bet she felt like really safe.
Yeah, she probably did feel really safe with our chubs next to her. But, like, I felt really bad. I was trying to, like, move myself, like, as far away so she'd have, like, room. And then Alyssa was like, I'm sorry for, like, squishing you. And she was just like, she was really sweet. And she was like, it's fine. You guys are fine. Whatever. But, like, so we're fucking on our way going there. And everybody else is taking the train to get there. And so we finally get there. And then there's a bunch of stairs to get up to the top to where, like, we're performing.
Of course.
I know. And so she says, and I said to her, I was like, I'm not going to crawl up those stairs. That's disgusting. Like, it was a fucking metro. So it was, like, dirty as fuck. And, like, I was like, no way. And so then she was like, no, we'll get people to help you. So they brought, like, a bunch of people down that were